Hi guys, this is Seth Christensen with the Got Any Cows podcast. 20 years ago, I was an 11-year-old kid with 2 bucket calves. Today, we have sent genetics from our company to 40 of the 50 states and 12 countries around the world. I still learn more every day, and I invite you to learn along with me. Well, we're here on another episode of the Got Any Cows podcast, and I'm lucky to be here with my friend Michelle Johnson from Legendary Akaushi Genetics. Thank you for taking the time to join us, Michelle.
Thank you, Seth. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And if you would, Michelle, kind of give us a little bit of your background. Tell us about, I guess, who you are and where you're from, and a little bit of how you got there.
Okay, well, this is a story. So
You bet. We'll just start right in. You bet.
Okay, so starting with the Akaushi part of it, my husband and I moved from Nebraska. We were trying to move to Missouri. We were trying to get a lot of pasture area and just get right into cattle.
Yeah.
So as we were looking for farms, we were having kind of a hard time. Our realtor got to be a very good friend. She had a farm that they were raising black Wagyu at, that she had for sale.
Yeah.
And so she took us, got me the number actually. I was like, gosh, what's Wagyu? This was back in 2013.
And even if you would, just a hair behind that, as you're looking at, how did you end up at that point? Were you and your husband were looking for a farm? Were you looking to move, or at a point in your career just to make a change, I guess?
Yes, basically, what the truth matter, I turned 50. I was like, okay, I'm not happy with life right now.
You
Let's
can't be a
go
day
do it.
past
Let's
30,
go
Michelle.
do it. Thank you. So, in Nebraska, everything is farmland.
Yeah.
And, we had some cattle, but not, we needed pasture. We wanted the ranch. That was one of my bucket list things. Yeah. So that's what we were doing, is down there looking for a ranch to be able to raise more cattle. Yeah. And at that point, my family had raised Angus cattle forever. Mm-hmm. Wayne's was 5th generation Angus cattle farmers. Okay. So, and that's what we had intended that we were going to do when we got there. Yeah. But after meeting this realtor and looking at farms, she started telling us about this guy that she knew that was a friend of hers that had this farm for sale, and the Wagyu cattle came with it. Mm-hmm. Okay, what's a Wagyu cattle? So anyhow, I started researching it, and for me, I was like, wow, look at the health benefits. Yeah. I'm super excited about that. That's truly what got me into the breed.
It's the only thing that is both delicious and healthy. Usually it's healthy and gross, or it's delicious and trying to kill you.
100%. Yeah. So, and then I had showed my husband some of the photos. Oh, this is what they are. And he's like, no way. I don't care how big of a farm we get. We don't have a far enough way back pasture for a black Wagyu. Okay, so he was like, no.
They're a little homely.
Yes. So me being me, I was like, no, I'm not taking no for an answer. So I kept researching. That's where I come across the Akaushi. Okay, gotcha. And then when I showed him a picture of that, he was like, okay, I can live with that. That'll work. Mm-hmm. So just like everyone else, I started doing my research. We found a farm. We bought the farm. My first purchase was a bull.
Okay. Where did you get the bull from? Do you remember?
Bar Y, I believe it was, way back when, yes. You might want to edit this part. So anyway, when I put them in with the cows, we have just like 25, 30 head of heifers that we put them in with.
Okay, Angus heifers?
Yes, okay, yeah. They didn't breed. We're like, oh no. So we had got some semen, and we went ahead and did it that way, and got several bred and on the ground. And in the meantime, I loved them already. I loved the bull. So then I was trying to find females, and back then it was very hard to find them.
You bet. What year would this have been, roughly?
2013.
13. Okay,
yes.
Gotcha.
Yep. So at that point, I found my 74 cow, J.C. Mishushaw 74.
That was a fortunate find. What an awesome cow.
Yes, that was. And that was before the 75 deal and all of that. Yeah. So she was my cornerstone girl. And with her, we started building the full blood program. Mm-hmm. So, and you know how it takes a while once you get into the F1 part of it, or the beef side. So the whole time, My husband's having a fit. He's like, oh my God, Michelle, well, you're wasting so much time. There's nothing better than Angus. We've been doing this. This has been great. They've been proven. You can't have a better steak than this. You're wasting all this time and money. Me, I'm going, nope, health benefits. I'm doing it. So anyhow, we kept going. And the funniest part was truly, we got the first one done, or where we thought it should be, because we were new. It wasn't quite done enough, but I'll never forget it. The first steak, we had company that night, and my husband cuts into that first steak. It didn't have great marbling. It had some marbling. It wasn't finished, but we didn't know because we were just starting. Sure. He took one bite of it, and I'll never forget the look on his face. It was just like one bite. He just looked at me like, oh my God. I'm like, what? He's like, I can't believe this. He's like, I cannot believe the taste of this. It is so tender. It is so buttery. And he's like, I just can't believe it. That was one cross. That was an F1. That was one cross out of Akaushi bull. Yeah. From that moment on, he was running tracks up my back. Oh my God, let's go. So it's like, oh my God, we'd have been there if it wasn't for you. But anyhow, so that's when we got up to 300 head of Angus cows. I was doing flushes with Rue, it's my 74 cow, and we were building that herd, started buying some other genetics. And so, it got to be a whole lot. It was Wayne and I and my daughter, who was very young at that time, because that was it. Our family mine was in Michigan, his was in Nebraska, and now we're in Missouri. So it's just us.
Oh, wow.
So, I think the thing that I would tell new breeders is to kind of pick something to focus on.
Sure. Yeah.
Because with us, well, you know me now, but it's like anything we tried to do worked. So we have now a breeding program. Now we have an F1 program. So we have a meat program. So then we're like, oh, farmers markets, that's a great place to go. So we started doing that. So it got to be 4 farmers markets a week. We had people flying in from everywhere looking at cattle. I'm trying to get flushes lined up and all of that kind of stuff. We started a jerky company. Wow. Yeah,
you slept in there somewhere, I guess.
I don't remember the sleeping part, but yes,
potentially.
Yes. So, and it was at that point. I don't know how long it had been. About 7 years, I guess. That point. So I'll go into the next phase. This is where Danny Little was a customer of ours and had gotten to be a friend.
I'll throw in one note quick. So at the point that you were operating with your own animals, so that was that Dove Creek DCW?
Yes.
Was how you ran that
yes,
at that point in time?
It was. And I guess that was my point too. For new customers, if they can focus on one thing,
sure.
Just think of what you love the most and do that.
Yeah, you bet.
Everything is work. But I will tell you that there was not one thing that we tried with this business that did not go. So that's what had happened. It was like, whoa, what happened? So it was a lot of work getting started, but as it started to work, it was working. And then it was like my husband and I and a child at that point, It was so much. Yeah. So it was at that point, there was one day, I was delivering beef in Arkansas to restaurants. And Danny called me. Now, what are you doing? I said, I'm driving in Arkansas trying to deliver beef to restaurants. And he laughed, and I said, Danny, get your F1 program up and running. I said, because when you do, I'm going to give you my meat program. I was like, I can't do all of this.
Yeah.
So it was at that point, it was about 3 days later, he called, and he said, I've got a deal for you that I don't think you'll be able to turn down. And he did. Mm-hmm. And that's how Show Me Wagyu Partners started.
Okay, gotcha.
So, yep.
What time frame was that, Michelle, that you got involved with Show Me Wagyu Partners?
That was the beginning of 2020.
Okay, yeah, yep.
So it was, the hard part was just having my husband and I and all those cows and all the acreage and everything take care of.
Absolutely. It's a humongous job.
It was huge.
Humongous.
So Danny was like, I've got people. Yeah. You can do your thing, because I love to sell cattle. I love cattle, Yeah. That's my thing. He's like, so, you can do that, and we can take care of everything here. We can move everything over to my farm. I'll have people that can help, get everything done. So that's how that happened.
Perfect. So did you make a move within Missouri at that point in time?
At that point, no. Well, not within Missouri. No.
Okay.
My husband, being from Nebraska, was missing Nebraska, and wanted to move back. And his son had a construction company, needed help, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm just burnt out, fried. We've done cattle to the point I'm just over it." Yeah. So we ended up moving back
to
Nebraska. Yep.
Okay.
And from there, I still sold everything from there. If I needed to meet customers in Missouri, it wasn't that far of a drive. So I just run down and meet up with everybody and take care of it that way.
So the cattle ended up in Missouri with Danny Little, and you and your husband went back to Nebraska.
Yes.
He was helping with construction, but you ran sales.
Yes.
For Show Me Wagyu.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, I'm following.
Yep.
So tell us about Show Me Wagyu Partners and kind of some of what all you did during your time there.
Well, it was amazing to start to grow some of the animals, having more help to get things done was huge. I could focus more on the genetic part of it, and it was pretty much the animals that I had started with, and a lot of them were from Bill Fisher and Legendary. Right. Actually, they were my favorites. I just loved those animals. So, Rue, was there for a while. The 1100, 1088C, full sister to Mr. Rushaw, a whole bunch of them that were just super, super good cattle. So I'm starting to get those going, get the embryos going, and then to start to see what they were producing. And oh my gosh, it was just great fun. It was fun to go out in the pastures and go, oh gosh, I can tell that's by that bull, certain bulls, how it is. You can tell who they're by. It was an awesome experience.
Yeah. So tell us about Dosekis. That was an exciting day. I remember I was just watching from the seats online.
Yeah.
But that was an exciting day. Tell us the Dosekis story.
Oh my gosh, I have to do this, don't I? Okay, this is going to be embarrassing.
You can skip it if you'd rather.
No, this is true Michelle fashion, okay? So I've been watching this, and I've been thinking about him, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
So who was Dosekis? Tell us that. Who was the Dosekis bull? You were looking at it.
No, he was the first homogeneous polled bull in the Akaushi world. So I had been noticing him as the sale bill came up. Well, it got down to the day of. I was on my way to dinner, or would be, with some friends. Actually, it was the first time I'd gone to their house for dinner, which was really hilarious. But it's like 2 hours before the sale starts, and I text Danny. I said, hey, check out sale lot number, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Tell me what you think. He goes, that's interesting. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, I think we should buy him. I'm like, really? Oh, that'd be cool. The opportunity would be great. Right. So I had called Jordan. I'm like, Jordan, what do you think this bull's going to bring? And he told me, and I'm like, okay. I called Danny. I said, well, he's thinking this much. He's like, really? Well, let's just see what happens. Yeah. So meanwhile, the sale starts, and I'm signed up to bid, and we're on the way to the friend's house for dinner. And I'm like, oh my God, it's not over yet. I'm still on the way. And I'm like, I don't know what to do.
So you're headed to dinner and the auction's running?
Yes, I am. And they're just dying. They're like, I'm like, I'm so sorry, you guys, but this is a major deal.
This is a big deal. It's a big deal.
I'm apologizing in advance to have to be in between dinner, but I'm going to have to do it. I'm sorry. They thought it was the most hilarious thing in the world. She still says, remember that first time you came for dinner? You were buying a bowl in the middle of dinner? Yes. So anyhow, it was just funny. It just kept going up and up. And I kept, Danny, what do you think? Well, let's stop here. Well, we get to that point, and oh my gosh, just a little more. Well, finally, just buy the dang thing. So we did. and then it's like, okay, that was a fun dinner. But
yeah.
But then we had them, yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Fantastic. So that's just one of many stories. Fill us in on some other experiences while you're at Show Me Wagyu.
Well, that was probably the biggest one. It really was fun. I don't know. there's been so many things.
I'll toss one in for you and let you think. So just when you were telling that story, like I mentioned, I'll always think of something based off a story you told, but you're talking about buying Dosekis at your friend's house at dinner. And just the other day, so my sister-in-law and her husband had just bought a house and were moving. And so naturally we converted the stock trailer into a moving trailer for a day.
Everybody else.
Sprayed it right out, got it clean, tarped it up and went to hauling their stuff. Well, Larry Asherman there in Missouri was running his sale, and Show Me Wagyu had some lots there present, and there was a Dosekis daughter that caught my eye. I thought, now that's interesting, and I'm sure probably a mating you made. Dosekis over Brady, over Red Emperor.
Full sister
like
to
that.
Red Emperor.
Yeah,
2069
right.
F.
You're exactly right. That's exactly what it was. Yeah. And so I thought, well, that's unique, because she's polled, but she's bringing Marinami right up front. And I thought, well, that's fun. So naturally, just like the story you told, sale day comes, sale time lines up right on top of moving day. And so I brought the stock trailer in to move everything. And I said, guys, I'm sorry. I'm here with the truck and trailer. It's ready. But I got to be in the cab. So they're loading the back. And I'm sitting in the cab bidding on this. And then or sitting waiting, I guess, watching and making sure everything's set up. Because you know how the online platform, I've got a laptop in the truck trying to, run this. And then they get it loaded and the lot hasn't come up yet. I'm like, well, I guess we'll go. So I start driving, 2 miles an hour, and I'm watching it, sitting bidding on this.
This is a true cow addict right here.
Exactly right. I have a problem,
We all do.
But I'm sitting there bidding, and then, during the drive, literally from where their home was, luckily just kind of up some back roads, no main highways or anything, but literally between when we left their old house and when we arrived at their new one, 5 miles away, I had bought this heifer while I was driving, going 2 miles an hour with all their belongings in the trailer.
I hear you.
Yeah. The Dosekis bull's a good one.
Oh my gosh, well, they're beautiful. The offspring
Wonderful
are
cattle.
gorgeous. You can just pick them out. They're just very handsome, very beautiful animals, yes.
Absolutely. What were some of your other favorites? You were talking about some of your favorite animals there. What made them your favorites? And then what were some things you were trying to do? I mean, you're sitting there at Show Me Wagyu at this point. So you had Danny, and so you had, a neat partnership there as far as your expertise and the cattle you brought, and then the things Danny brought to the table with management and with the finance behind it. And you were able to do some neat things. Walk me through, I guess, what are some of your things, the animals you were most excited about that you got to work with, and then maybe some of the things you did with them, the matings you were excited about that you produced during your time there.
Well, let's see. We had a cow, 33F was her number, and she was a Big L by double Z. So we had crossed her back on Brady. Nope, not Brady. On Hikari. Those offspring were awesome. Very awesome. I mean, oh my gosh, great beef animals. Also, 1100 was a really good one. And that's Big Al by Katie Maru, too. Yes, so I just loved the cross of Brady on her and then back on Hikari. Again, outstanding beef. That was a good one. 74. I had bred and gotten a bunch of embryos, or had gotten a bunch of embryos and put them in when I was still at Dove Creek of Big Al. Okay. And they were just small, month old when we partnered. Gotcha. So watching those grow up, they were beautiful.
They're good cattle. I've run into them several places. That Big Al JC74 cross worked.
Yes. So that was really fun. And then there were some of her daughters. Well, you've probably seen the 17 cow that just sold. She was very nice. At Show Me, we had 47 and 48 were two of that Red Emperor by 74. It was really fun because we had sold some of the bulls, and I have had a few different customers call me that had bought those bulls, and they were like, Michelle, these things are outstanding. I mean, they have just produced some super good beef. And then they would call and say, Michelle, meat buyers are calling me, asking me if I'll sell these offspring.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah.
Love that.
So, I mean, that's very cool. That's very cool when people are searching out those bloodlines for the beef production and knowing that they're going to get really good animals out of them. So that was awesome.
Yeah. So as you're looking at your time there at Show Me, what were maybe some of the targets, I guess, of your breeding program at that point in time as you operated it there with Danny? And how did you go about getting that done? So, I mean, I guess objectives, meaning where you were trying to make the genetics go, and then means as far as what bloodlines ended up working to get you there, where you wanted to go.
Well, honestly, it was pretty much a home run everywhere we went with it. I mean, it really was. And again, we had that base of those legendary cows.
Yeah.
I mean, truly, we did.
Yeah.
I mean, those were the best. And, there was just kind of let's just call it a layering process that I was trying to get to out of several of those matings. And it was just fun. It was fun. It took, it takes a while. It takes you're basically your 3 years, a little longer by the time you can sell them. But that's about where it was and when we started really marketing things. And honestly, I never had anything left over at that point. Our bulls always sold. I was always out. I always had a waiting list. And then, Randy from Wagyu 365 was like, oh my gosh, you need to advertise with us. We need to do a sale. Oh, we don't really need to, Randy. We did.
Yeah.
And once we did that, that was just very cool because then you could see that, wow, people really do like these matings and really do like these cattle and that type of thing. So, I mean, that was fun. That was probably one of the most fulfilling parts. It's like, okay, gosh, it's working.
Yeah.
It's working.
It's really validating. Like
Yes.
it's really exciting. I remember even being here last year for the Akaushi convention sale and the Rusha 2 Katie Maru heifer pregnancy we sold last year in the sale. And just exactly that feeling you were just describing
yes.
of being present. And we're here in this group of Akaushi enthusiasts. We're all together for the convention. Everybody's excited to see each other. We sit down for the auction and it's like, I mean, that's what an auction's for. It's like, what is this thing worth? What do other people think? How do they value it?
It's nerve-wracking.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
And you don't know. You'd like to see it do well, but I mean, we'll see what the market says. And it was such a neat experience to have people say, hey, not only do I think this is a neat cross or these are good cattle, we're willing to vote with our dollars. I think that's a really validating experience. I thought that was really, really fun. Hey guys, this is Seth Christensen with the Got Any Cows podcast, and I wanted to invite you personally to put a mark on your calendar. So August 27th of 2025, I want to circle on it and I want you to mark in there, put in CGX auction. Christensen Genetics auction is happening August 27th. Make sure that you're subscribed. Go to gotanycows.com. At the bottom of that landing page, you'll see a subscribe section there where you can fill out and subscribe to our website. That will put you on our mailing list. The second that catalog opens, it'll show you everything that's available to bid on in the August 27th auction. You'll get an email with VIP access. What does that mean? That means you get the first bids. Only one person can be in at any given value. If you want to bid on any given auction, only one person can have one bid. You can't have two people in at the same money. If you want the best prices, you need the earliest access. And that's what I'm offering to you as our podcast listeners here on the Got Any Cows podcast, is to subscribe on the Got Any Cows website. We can give you the auction link before anyone else has it so that you can get on the auction, place your bids first, see what's available first, know what you're gonna buy on that August 27th closing date, and you can get the best prices as you place your bids. Every auction, there are some things that sell at or near the opening bid. There are great buys to be had every time. That's the fun of an auction. Some of these things are gonna go way higher than we expected. Some of these things are gonna go way cheaper than I'd let them go private treaty, but that's what makes this fun. There is value there for you as our podcast listeners if you go to gotanycows.com, subscribe to the mailing list, get that VIP access, and hop on and bid early. And then make sure again that on your calendar you have that August 27th date marked in. That auction is going to close at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and it's going to close horse race style finish. So depending on the auction, some close right there close to 6 p.m. Quite often, they'll go out towards 7 or 8 p.m. as they close. Every time any lot in the auction has a bid, the entire auction will extend by an additional 5 minutes. And so there's always a lot of activity right at closing, so make sure you're there, make sure you're present, make sure you're watching. Don't miss out on those great buys that there are to be had and some of the neat initial offerings that'll be present in the auction August 27th with Christensen Genetics. Be sure to subscribe and get your link early at gotanycows.com. So you were at Show Me Wagyu and then ended up making a transition to Legendary Akaushi. Walk us through how all that kind of came to be to get to you to your current position with Legendary.
Okay. Honestly, I was ready to just slow down a little bit. I think Danny was just ready to slow down a little bit. And I had just sold a package of cattle to Steve Cottrell. He had bought 50 head, great meat animals. He was talking, he wanted to get into the beef industry, and I sold him a really nice package.
Yeah.
Anyhow, after that, he called and said, hey, I'd really like you to work for me. I'm like, no, I don't think so. And he's like, no, really? And it just went back and forth a little bit. And finally I was like, okay, I will. So, and I was just going to handle those 50 head and go forward. Genetics I knew, genetics I developed. So I was all good with that.
Yeah.
Well,
I love you're sitting at just a hair over 50 today.
Just a hair over 50. Life is good. I can do this in my sleep. This is great. Yeah, nice and easy. And then I get a phone call that Legendary is for sale. And that possibly a third of it would be offered for sale. And I was like, oh gosh, I probably should tell him. This is the funniest part though, because I hadn't even met Steve personally at this point. No, hadn't even met him in person. I just talked about the phone and we had done cattle.
Yeah.
So at that point, I told him and he's like, well, what do you think? I said, oh my God, Legendary's the best.
Yeah.
It really is. Because I just loved Bill and, so everything he stood for, and the genetic preservation part of it, totally, you have to love that.
Yeah.
So he's like, okay, we'll see if you can figure out, a third. What would you do for a third? You can't pick a third of a Legendary herd.
Right.
It just does not work. So I just told him, like, oh my gosh, I racked my brain on this, and I just can't deal with it. There's just no way to do it. How do you pick?
Yeah.
Okay. So the short story of it is we ended up buying the whole thing. He ended up buying the whole thing.
Yep.
And after that, I went, oh my God, what'd I just do? Yep. So that was it. So we went down and he got to see his herd and I got to see a lot of the animals I hadn't seen in a while. And it was very cool, to see the Z cow in person and, Nikki and all of those great cows. It was just very amazing. But Steve picked me up to go down there and it was just hilarious. It's like, gosh, I wonder if that's Steve. And he's going, yeah, so I hadn't even met him yet. It was like, oh my God. So, yeah. So we just did all these and we just bought this. And I was like, okay, yep, hi, I'm Michelle. So off we went. But it was great. And here we are. We got those guys going, getting emotional just thinking about it. Yeah. But, then it was like, okay, now you have all these cows, where are you going to put them?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, good point. Right. So then we had to start scrambling to try and get something figured out. He had the farm there in Wisconsin. Mm-hmm. Wasn't big enough really to hold all of these and all of that we wanted to do. So my husband Wayne knows about everybody in Nebraska, so we made a few phone calls and got to a realtor that said, hey, I know of this nice farm. It's, 6,000 acres, but it's not on the market. Just of it is that ended up being something that worked out. Big project.
Yeah.
A lot of land.
Uh-huh.
A lot to get put together.
Right.
Yes, so we're working on it. We're getting there. It's come a long, long ways. Getting the facilities built was huge. trying to get trees taken down, fences, organization.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
It's very much a lot.
So as it sits today with Legendary and with your role within it, 6,000 acres in Nebraska is home base for the registered cows. Is Wisconsin more so the meat end of the program, or do you have breeding stock there as well?
Yep, they do mainly the meat program, but we do have receps up there too. So they do go ahead and put in some of the embryos and that type of thing, but we've got more space in Nebraska, and that's where I'm at, so that's where most of the sales happen, so.
So are
Yep.
you right on site on the ranch in Nebraska? Is that where you're at? Or?
No, but I'm not very far away.
Okay,
So,
gotcha.
yeah.
You're close to the ranch in Nebraska.
Yep. So I just come in and meet with clients, and we've got a pretty good crew there now, so that just works out great. Everybody's working out together.
That's a huge acreage, And I say roughly, and I'm not looking for any proprietary information. How many cows are you trying to keep track of on the 6,000 acres as far as just the scope of the project there?
There are I want to say there's about 800 head of cows with calves.
Plenty to keep.
Yes.
So you're managing, you've got that much ground, that many animals, and you're adding facilities and fence.
Yes.
Plus you're running the genetics program and the sales program. So I'd imagine you have a lot of time mostly to sit back and think about the meaning of life. I'd imagine.
Yep. Yes, for sure.
No, I say just I commend you for taking on a huge task there and an exciting opportunity, a neat thing to get to work with these animals. So walk us through Legendary today. What is it that made Legendary unique? Like you mentioned, so hard to even divide or carve out. What would you take? What is it that makes Legendary Akaushi unique?
For me, it is that genetic preservation and, those original animals, the Z cow, the elephant cow, Nikki, all of those, Brooke, those animals, and trying to keep, those female lines as up close as you can, and the same with the males. And, I just really feel like we really need to keep that foundation. It's very important, but going forward with Legendary, I think the data is a huge thing. Absolutely. I know that we're going to produce more of a modern type of animal that is going to actually do better, produce better beef, and all that's going to need to be done with data. Yeah. But I still believe that we need that foundation. We need to keep that foundation so that we always can go back and start to build forward from that. So that's how I feel about it. But
Yeah, and a unique program, and I appreciate what you guys are doing there, because like you mentioned, it's maintaining those maternal lines, because there were so few that ever left Japan, period. Depending on how you count them, because some are dams of others and so on, but 13-ish cows, 6 bulls is what we have, period. And if we lose any of those lines, the genetic diversity it's already a narrow gene pool. And so maintaining the breadth to work with, I think is crucially important. And the work you're doing there with those double original imports that Bill put together, and then maintaining that and carrying it forward, and adding to that, doing just like you mentioned with the data and breeding them forward, doing what we can to make them better while maintaining the breadth of those original imports, I think is a neat thing that you guys are engaged in. And I just appreciate, Michelle, that it's you at the helm there. I think that's a positive thing. When people call me, and like in any given industry, there are people you can trust and there's people you can't. And I've had several people tell me, they'll call and talk to me about, who do you turn to for good information? I say, look, I've had several say to me, I trust you and I trust Michelle, and awesome. And I appreciate that the work you do, and how you treat people, because at the end of the day, we get together, all of us here at the Akaushi convention. We're all here because we love these cattle and want to make them better, but it does come down to the people and how you treat people and how you take care of each other. And I look at, the things that each of us does within our separate programs and individual herds, but anything that moves the Akaushi breed forward is positive for you, for me, and for everyone else that's here with us at convention.
And we appreciate what you do too there, Seth. There is one thing that we are going to do, Legendary is in the process of doing, that I think is going to be huge for the industry.
Wonderful. Fill us in, please.
So to my knowledge, there has never been a data collection of the original import sires. So like you go to, the AWA database, Digital Beef, there's 3, Big L. Okay, there's not anything to work from there.
Right.
Okay, so this year, and like in about 2 weeks, we are going to take those original import sires, and we have purchased a large group of 1 iron Angus cattle, so they're all bred the same.
Yep.
And we are going to do a original import. We're going to AI all of them. And so we will have pretty good group size of each of those original import sires.
Wonderful.
Over very closely related Angus cows.
Yeah.
So that data should be outstanding.
Yeah, you bet.
So I think that will be huge for the breed. I think that'll be a lot of proof there going forward. And I think people will be pleasantly surprised, honestly. I do.
Yeah.
So I think that'll be outstanding.
Oh, absolutely. I'm excited to see what you learn.
Yep, me too.
And that is, I think, efforts like that, just like what you're looking to do, you're looking to learn. We're looking to get quality data so that we can make data-backed decisions. We need it. Because otherwise everyone's driving blind. It's he said, she said, and we're all hoping we're making them better, but we don't really know without some hard data behind our decisions. So I think that's an awesome endeavor.
For, new people starting into, it is very important. I mean, it's the simple things. You need your weaning, your birth weights.
You bet.
You need them correct.
Right.
You need to be able to put in your weaning weights. You need to be able to get your yearling weights. These are things that everyone can do. So everyone can work on this. Everyone can help get data collection.
Yep.
The other thing is decent sized contemporary groups. And so if everybody starts to work on this, we can make improvements by leaps and bounds, but it takes everyone. We all need to work together.
Right. Right. Well, and I think you mentioned a crucial point there. When it comes to data collection, I have people ask me for all of my hard data that we've collected. And at this point in time, I'll absolutely share with other people, that this animal ranked here or there within a group, this animal ranked here or there within a group, because that information, just like you mentioned with a contemporary group, it is relevant in that group.
Right.
Now, if I take hard metrics on one animal that's sitting in West Texas and compare it against hard metrics of one animal sitting in Wisconsin, they're going to be very distinct, right, and very separate. And so I don't end up sharing raw data only because I don't want it to be misinterpreted. We want it to be quality data sets. And so I think what you mentioned there of everyone gathering data rather than how would I say this? Rather than abdicate the responsibility for any new breeder to say, hey, Michelle, I expect you to collect all the data, or Seth, I expect you to collect all the data, or Heartbrand, or whoever else it may be, say, hey, let's all of us make it a point to collect the data. Get the actual birth weight, not the hoof tape, get the actual birth weight, get the actual weaning weight, get the actual yearling weight. If at all possible, run an ultrasound, hang a carcass, so on and so forth, and compare that within your group. I'm not going to say that exactly what I do in Idaho is directly applicable relative to what you do in Nebraska, but say, hey, this is what I learned in this group, and this is how we can share that information to move the breed forward, because I know we'll continue to incorporate genetics that'll be produced at Legendary in my program, and I hope that we can continue to produce genetics that will be of value to the breed at large, saying, hey, in our data set here, side by side, we put in the effort to collect this data. I guess I commend that you guys are doing it, and I hope more will follow suit, because I think too often we just say, well, somebody else needs to collect the data, or somebody else needs to market this breed, or somebody else needs to whatever. Anytime people quit saying somebody else, and say,
Yes.
you know what, I am going to take on to market these animals. I am going to take on to gather data. I am going to move us forward. That is how we as a group move forward, is by each doing our
And we
part.
can all do it. We
Oh,
can all help.
absolutely. Even if you only have 10, there is still a rank 1 and a rank 10 in a group of 10.
Right.
So I commend what you're doing there, and I hope more people will follow suit.
Yes, me too.
So looking at Legendary going forward, I think what you mentioned there with data collection is huge. Is there anything else in particular that stands out to you that you say, hey, these are some goals, some targets, some plans for Legendary as an entity, and then anything that you would say to other new breeders that are establishing their own programs or taking on a program in a management role for someone else, any words of advice or thoughts for them?
Yes. Okay, so for Legendary going forward,
Yeah.
one of the biggest things, and I think it's going to be huge for the industry in general, we are building an amazing facility.
I'm excited. I read about it in Wagyu World. I'm
Yes.
excited to see what you do there.
So, and you know our friend Doug Slaby,
yes,
the Slaby
yeah.
Construction, he will be,
He'll do
his
an awesome
company.
job.
Yes, we'll be building it, and we've got the drawings at our booth downstairs, so hopefully
Love
you can
it,
see it.
love
But
it.
yes, big, beautiful donor barn. I mean, it's state of the art. I mean, it's incredible. So we would love to be able to start holding, conferences there, things maybe for new breeders, to have meetings where, really, this is great. The Akaushi Association is great, the convention, everybody gets together, but it'd be really kind of cool to be able to start to bring some of those new people in and have people come in, like yourself, people that have been in the business for a while and are doing things the right way and want to help and want to improve the breed. So to do that, we'll have a big conference center, indoor, outdoor seating. It'll be set up as a sale facility. So there'll be all the TVs around. We'll have a full state-of-the-art kitchen, so we'll be able to cook meals.
Fantastic.
It's gonna
Fantastic.
be something special.
And on site, right at the
On-site,
ranch.
yes,
That's huge.
yes.
That's huge.
It's
Well, I think that's
amazing.
positive for the breed. What
I
you're
think
doing
it will be too, and we'll use it to improve the breed. We're going to use it to, help have people come in and do meetings and things to help go forward.
there. Yeah, you
Yep.
bet. You
So
bet.
it'll be fun.
That's hugely exciting. Other than, like I mentioned, the fact that you're already bringing in a whole new ranch and a whole new set of cows and a whole new set of facilities and fences and sales and marketing and this whole new facility, plus all the data collection you just mentioned. In your spare time, is there anything else that you guys are doing that you're taking on as far as anything else you're excited about for the future of Legendary?
I did the beef programs just starting to ramp up now, and I'm really excited about that. It really is fun because as you get your scans back and get your camera shots and all of that kind of stuff for your beef, it's just awesome that you can start to see going forward what's working very well in the proofs there. So
Right.
Is-
It is different to know what it is than to go off of, well, this is what it should have been, or the pedigree said, or the EPDs said, or my friend said, or whatever. It's very different to know what the animals are and what they aren't.
Yep, and I think, that we're going to be culling about 70% of everything we produce. That's a
Wonderful.
huge amount,
Wonderful.
and people are like,
And
"Are you crazy?"
it's gut-wrenching,
It
but
is.
so important.
It
Because
is.
we can't multiply the best if we don't eliminate the rest.
Yes.
And it happens too often, because I just sent the instruction over to my guys yesterday to nut another set of ET calves, just the bottom end of our weaning weights. And every one of those calves had a stellar donor dam and a big-time AI sire on top, and we spent a bunch of money producing it. But if it's not, it should have been the best, but there's still a bottom end of that set. And the bottom end of the weaning weights, they don't need to reproduce. The top end does. So the bottom end hits the meat program.
That is one of the biggest things I think for new people they need to understand, because I really feel like so many people have gotten into this and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have bulls and they're going to be worth this much money and I'm going to be making all this money. It can't be like that. Just like what you say, you want the best to go forward.
Right.
And They're
have
not
to
all the
eliminate the
best.
others.
They're
Right.
not all the best. And rather than sell those animals for $3,500 a piece, there were so much more than that,
Yeah.
fed out.
Right.
So,
Right. You
and
bet.
it might be hard, but this breed is worth it. If
Yeah.
you put in the work, you will do good.
Yeah.
And you will be able to get those animals finished, and you will be able to sell them. And
Yeah.
yep,
Oh,
for sure.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I think you hit the nail on the head there, Michelle. And I think that's, as I look at your story and talking about what you're doing at Legendary and the path forward for Legendary as a program and for the breed and for new breeders, that's kind of the takeaway I take from our conversation today, is to not abdicate responsibility. Say, you know what, we're going to take on our own data collection. We're going to take on our own marketing. We're going to take on our own culling. And say, we're gonna establish a target, we're gonna breed for it, we're gonna cull if they don't reach it, and we're gonna record all the data we can. And rather than say, well, it's the rest of the world needs to do my culling for me, the rest of the world needs to do my breeding or my marketing or whatever, just to take responsibility, gather the data, cut the ones that don't work, and put the effort into marketing what does. I appreciate, anyway, that's my takeaway from my conversation with you. Anything that you would add to that or tweak or adjust or say, Seth, you didn't quite catch this right?
No, I feel like that pretty much sums it up, Seth. But it is everyone's responsibility, though. And, if we want to keep this breed strong, that needs to be done.
Yeah.
We need to only go forward with the very best of the animals.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
And it will be better for all of us.
Right.
All of us. Right. So the people need to do their parts to cull what needs to be culled.
I completely agree. And honestly, and this is a thought that comes to mind as you mentioned that, as far as culling the ones that need culled. For anyone new to the business, how many of us got in because the beef's fantastic? And all of our friends and family would love to have plenty of the beef, but, well, this one's a big Al, I can't cut it, or this one's an ET calf, I can't cut it, or this one's whatever. Cut them. Cut them. You've got people begging for the beef. Everyone knows someone that would love to have some Akaushi beef. Provide it for them. And in the process, gather data on that carcass to inform your breeding decisions for the ones that were the best and did stay a breeder. Most don't need to breed. Most need to be beef, but the best ones are the ones we want to carry forward with.
100%. I agree with you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Michelle, for taking the time to sit down and
Thank
chat.
you.
And appreciate you as a friend and for the time and effort that you put into the breed and into your program. You're carrying a tremendous weight to do something as significant in scope as the Legendary Project, but I appreciate what you do and the good that does for the breed and for the people that work with you at Legendary.
Thank you. I appreciate it. We very much appreciate you too, Seth.
Thanks so much,
You do a
Michelle.
lot. Thank you.
Appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Got Any Cows podcast. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts. And visit us anytime at gotanycows.com.